been dishonest. Now, one thing to remember about these independents, they generally divide into two different segments. Excuse me. The independents that are actually to the right of center, and a few so-called independents, but that's probably about 20% or less, that are in the middle or to the left of center. I have to get some more polling on that. Republicans are twice as likely as Democrats, 36 to versus 18, to be following the news about Benghazi hearing very closely. There's no doubt about it. This is not something that really would get the people up. About half, 56% of the Republicans and Republican-leaning independents say they watch regularly the Fox channel. This group is particularly frustrated over the Benghazi. Full 79% of Republicans who regularly watch Fox News says the Obama administration has been dishonest, compared with 60% of Republicans who don't watch the Fox News. Nearly half, 46% of Republicans who regularly watch Fox News said they are following the story very closely, compared with 23% among other Republicans. Well, one of the big problems you have here is that many of the Republicans that watch Fox News really don't know where Benghazi is. They know very little about Benghazi, because Benghazi, of course, is in the west, and most of the news came out of Libya before Colonel Gaddafi was assassinated, was from Tripoli. And then that news was not in the American eye. Americans tend to have limited vision in world affairs, and particularly in Africa, and this is where Libya sits, and also at the same time limited knowledge of what politically is going on there. Some did remember Lockerbie, but again, Americans have a very, very as one would say, limited view of history. The interest in the rescue of the Cleveland women, we haven't brought this up before. News about the rescue of 3 women who had been captured in a Cleveland home. That was in a Latino neighborhood. That was at the top, 4 and 10. 40% said they followed the story. That's not a lot. Well, very closely there. Followed by the economy, 28%, very closely, and news about Benghazi, 23%. Interest in the rescue is higher than the discovery of Jacine Daggett in 2009. I don't even remember her. Let's see, the public interest in the story, 61% said news organizations had given the right amount of coverage to the Cleveland rescue. Fewer than a quarter, 21% said there was too much coverage. Well, they didn't have much to talk about there. News about the immigration debate in Washington, those followed it very closely, 20%. Political violence in Syria, 7%. Again, that things out of the U.S., there's really not a lot of coverage. Pew surveys measure interest in debate over immigration 5 times, with close interest climbing no higher than 23%. Parts of the nation that are away from border areas really don't have much of an interest in immigration, or they don't have populations of immigrants. Now, some, like say for instance Georgia and some of the southern states, with the exception perhaps of Texas, that are not border states, have an interest, but a limited interest. Nonetheless, was based on, this particular poll was based on the poll of 500,000 adults 18 and older living in the continental United States. 500 respondents were interviewed on landline phones, and 500 were interviewed on mobile phones, including 273 who had no landline phones. So the Pew Center survey is much better than many of the others. Now, on weighted samples, now we'll see who was in the sample. There were 210 Republicans, and how they weighted the sample. It's a plus or minus, incidentally, 3.7 percentage points here. And the Republicans, well, we won't get into that, but there were 321 Democrats and 375 Republicans, and the plus or minus is 6.1 for the independents, 6.6 for the Democrats, and 8.1 there. Samples and sampling areas of the subgroups. So in other words, this was basically how it was set up. Pretty firm poll. We like to see this type of poll, but it generally brought the same conclusions we've had on this. And let me go to a Politico article here on the Republicans. And this kind of complements the Pew Center's particular statistical slant. Why the Republicans think it could be blown. This is from behind the curtain. This is by Allen and Vanderhelly, I suppose. And Republicans are worried about one thing that could screw up the political gift of three Obama administration's controversies at once. Fellow Republicans. Top Republicans have privately wanted members to put a sock in it when it comes to silly calls for impeachment. There was a news conference by the National Nut today that's on duty in D.C. Michelle Bachmann, not Palin out in Alaska. Palin chimes in. She didn't want to be left out of anything either. And even old S.A. Cupp, S.E. or whatever, old Sarah Cupp, she likes to chime in too. We hadn't heard anything from Horseface Coulter lately, so we don't know where she is. But we heard from Limbaugh. Limbaugh wants to have a Limbaugh fest with the Republicans. I mean, with the Obama administration, like the beer summit. Limbaugh is out doing his own importance there. They want members to focus on months of fact-finding investigations, not rhetorical theory. Why the fuss? Well, people may be starting to use the I word before too long. That's from Senator Inhofe from the red state of Oklahoma told a radio host making plans for the impeachment was indeed the I word. And I said the N. Well, anyway, they basically are the same. The N word, I word, impeachment, the O word, and the N word. You can recall Benghazi, Obama, Watergate, except no one died. That's Steve Stockman from Texas. That's what he wrote on Twitter. It harkens back to the days of Richard Nixon maintaining a political enemies list and treating the federal government as a tool to extract the administration's retribution. That's from the right-wing senator from Texas, Cruz, told a National Review. It's worse than Watergate. That was Michelle Bachmann that added there. She used to work for the IRS as an auditor. I believe that before it's all over, the president will not fill out his full term. That's former governor and candidate Mike Huckabee on his own show. Well, we'll get to that in just a second here. We have to be patient. That's from Regis Priebus. He's the chairman there. I think there is smoke. There is fire. If we present ourselves to the American people as intelligent, well, he present themselves as ignorant, so you forget that. He just throw that one out the window. So Republicans are looking around looking for something, and in our last few minutes here, as soon as we finish this up, Republicans are aware of their long history of taking scandal crusades too far. No doubt about that. Dan Bruton, we can't forget him. He's former representative from Indiana, then in ISIS's role, the Oversight Committee reenacted the death of Clinton friend Vince Foster in his backyard by shooting a watermelon. Oh well. Republican leadership privately says that the best and only way to avoid a public backlash by using their congressional powers to aggressively investigate each matter and let the facts carry the news. Well, part of the problem in this particular news cycle, the news turns into a Twitter. In other words, 140 characters, so it's scantily addressed, and it's in such a manner that it falls out there, but it's a 60-second commercial or less. In Watergate, you had specials. You had it on, of course, the CBS News, the NBC News every night. The networks primarily had it. And of course, the New York Times was there, but the Washington Post was the primary instrument. Installment after installment came out. There were investigations. There were a lot of people involved. They had the plumbers there and various Nixon types. They had the Nixon tapes. You're not going to find any Obama tapes unless they're on an iPod. And we have it on good words. The iPod was turned off. So you're not going to get that sort of thing. So what you're getting here is, and we'll go at one at the other, we've covered Benghazi. Benghazi is still in turmoil. Watergate, we had no Benghazi. Benghazi is a situation where some Americans were killed, but at the same time it is a situation where people are still being killed today. And Americans are told not to visit the place. The same thing in Tripoli, which is the capital of Libya. After the assassination of Dr. Gaddafi, it's not a safe place to be. In fact, militias had taken over even the Justice Ministry there and several others. So it is ruled literally by the barrel of a gun. And the American people clearly need to understand that in terms of where Benghazi was and where it was not. The ambassador there, Chris Stevens, was an Arabic speaker. He used to walk to the marketplace in Benghazi. People knew him. But that didn't matter in this particular situation because there was this attack by gang groups. As Hillary Clinton said, it doesn't matter. And it really doesn't matter. They haven't found anyone. But the whole problem is it could be Group A, Group B, Group C. It could be the Anwar Ashura group. They rule them pretty much out of the game. Could have been an Al-Qaeda group, could have been an Al-Qaeda-backed group, could have been freelancers who wanted to be an Al-Qaeda, or it could have been anyone. But the whole problem here is if you have Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, and you had plenty of them there, you could exhaust the alphabets. Who was behind them? Well, here's the problem. You had all these intelligence services there. Mossad was there, the French were there, the British intelligence service, that's three of the bigger ones. Then from the Emirates you had intelligence service, you had the Jordanian intelligence service. We could go on and on. And subgroups in Nevada also has it. So you're basically working from the same pool, but opposite sides of the streets, but both sides can literally query the other side. So that was what today was about in Las Vegas and Douglas County. Nonetheless, we shall be here on the weekend with the week that was. It'll go back up there. It's still continuing on. And the Monday morning quarterback, where we have all the ball scores from the NFL, NBA, the National Hockey League, and hopefully we'll throw in some actual European, as they call it, football, because that's the world's football, not the one that's played here. But the football story this week is one Orenthal James Simpson, number 32. As the Port Laureate of Newark, New Jersey, one L.A. Bill Graham would say, peace out. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you on Saturday. And also check out Numbers Man, our financial program. We'll talk about many, many things, including the downgrading of Berkshire Hathaway. That is the home of one Warren Buffett. And also we're over on Spreaker and many other places, on iTunes and on the RSS feed. On Spreaker we have economic news. That will be up Friday morning, as we are now on Friday morning. Have a cup of coffee for us. Good day.